Welcome to the Deep Dive. You know, we're living in an age where there's just so much information coming at us all the time.
It's overwhelming, honestly.
Exactly. It promises to keep us informed, but often it just, well, it leaves you feeling swamped. So we're here to offer something different.
A shortcut, maybe.
Think of it like that, yeah. Your personal shortcut through all that noise. We dig into complex stuff, pull out the crucial insights, those surprising facts, the aha moments.
So you actually feel informed, not just overloaded.
Precisely. And today, we're taking a deep dive into something that, well, it works a bit behind the scenes, but it's fundamentally shaping our future.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
We're talking about the fascinating world of tech incubators and accelerators.
Ah, yes. The unsung heroes, in a way.
Totally. These are the powerful, often overlooked engines driving so many of the companies that have, let's face it, completely changed our daily lives.
It's absolutely true. They really are the fertile ground where innovation gets its start and hopefully thrives.
And for this deep dive, we've really gotten into toptechincubators.pdf.
Right. It's a pretty comprehensive document. It doesn't just list the big names. It actually gives these really detailed profiles of the major players. It's like a unique window into how they work.
Yeah, it gave us a great foundation. So our mission today is pretty clear. We want to unpack what really makes these places tick.
Like, what makes them so crucial?
Exactly. How do they operate? What sets the best ones apart? And, what's their real impact on entrepreneurs, on the economy globally?
We should explore their different models, right? Because they aren't all the same.
Definitely. They're unique models, their histories. Some have really interesting origin stories and also the challenges they face.
Got it. So by the end, you listening should have a really complete picture of where tomorrow's big ideas are actually born.
Get ready for some serious insight into the future of enterprise. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning, the absolute fundamentals. When we talk about tech incubators and accelerators, what are these things, essentially? What's their main job in the whole startup world?
Right. Well, at their heart, they're basically organizations set up to nurture really early stage startups.
Nurture them how? Like, just give them office space.
It's way more than that. I mean, yes, sometimes space, but it's really about a critical support system. We're talking essential resources.
Like funding?
Yeah, seed funding is a big one just to get an idea moving, but also crucial mentorship from people who've, been there, done that, seasoned experts,
Okay.
and access. Access to powerful networks, investors, potential partners, even just other founders going through the same thing.
So it's about increasing their odds.
Exactly. Their main goal is to help these brand new companies grow and, frankly, dramatically increase their chances of actually succeeding, making it less risky, basically.
That sounds clear enough. But I know these terms, incubator and accelerator, they get thrown around a lot, sometimes together.
Yeah, people use them interchangeably all the time.
Is there a real difference? Or are they basically the same thing?
That's a really good question. And while, yeah, they're often used like synonyms, there are some subtle differences. It helps to think of it like this. An incubator is maybe more like a longer-term greenhouse.
Okay.
They often work with companies at a super early stage, sometimes even before there's a fully baked idea or even a team.
Really? Just a person with a spark?
Sometimes, yeah. So the programs can be less structured, maybe longer. They focus more on developing the concept, finding co-founders, building the absolute foundations. It's about nurturing an idea right from the get-go.
Got it. So the greenhouse, what about accelerators?
An accelerator, on the other hand, is much more, well, accelerated. It's intensive and definitely time-bound, usually something like 3 to 6 months.
Shorter than.
Much shorter and much more focused. They typically work with startups that already have a team, maybe a basic product or a clearer idea, and the whole point is rapid growth.
Pushing them forward fast.
Exactly. Scaling up, getting ready for outside investment. They want to accelerate a promising venture that's already got some legs.
Okay, that makes sense. Different speeds, different stages.
But, and this is key, both of them share that same big goal: to seriously speed up startup growth and significantly boost their success rates, cutting down the friction and risk involved in starting something new.
That distinction is helpful. So, okay, why should you, listening right now, actually care about these organizations? I mean, like we said, they often work kind of quietly behind the curtain.
Right. They're not always household names themselves.
So what's the direct impact on, your average person's life?
The connection is actually way more direct than you might think. Seriously, just think about the apps you use every single day.
Okay.
or the services you rely on, maybe online shopping or booking travel or streaming, even like bigger things, transformative technologies changing whole industries.
A lot of those came from startups.
A huge number of them, and many, if not most, either got their start or got their big push scaled up through these exact kinds of programs.
Ah, so they're like the launch pads.
Exactly. Tech incubators and accelerators, they're integral to our modern world because they're the proving grounds for the innovations that eventually, touch almost every part of our lives. How we work, communicate, travel, shop, manage health, everything.
So they're kind of the silent architects of tomorrow's tech.
That's a good way to put it. They're powering the experiences you end up using every day.
Okay, that context is super useful. Now let's get into the big players. Our source doc, toptechincubators.pdf, lays out a clear top 10 list. These are the giants, right?
Yeah.
Global scale, massive influence.
Absolutely. This list really sets the stage for the deeper dives we're going to do.
So let's take a quick first look at these titans. Who's first?
Unsurprisingly, first up is Y Combinator, YC, based in Silicon Valley, of course.
Classic.
Totally. It's famous for that really intense 3-month batch accelerator program, and the alumni list is just incredible. Airbnb, Stripe, Dropbox.
Household names.
Right. And their demo day is legendary in the investment world.
Okay, YC. Who's next?
Next is 500 Global. You might remember them as 500 Startups.
Ah, right, they rebranded. What's their claim to fame?
Their big thing is truly global reach. They're in something like over 75 countries. And they put a really strong emphasis on diversity, helping founders scale internationally, especially from places that maybe don't get as much VC attention.
Interesting. Okay, number 3.
That would be Techstars. They're also global, operating in over 50 cities.
What makes them stand out?
They're really celebrated for their community vibe, summed up in their motto, #GiveFirst.
Gerst.
Yeah, this idea of helping others in the network without expecting something immediately back. Plus, they run specialized, industry-specific programs like accelerators just for fintech or just for health tech.
Got it. Very community and niche focused. Who's fourth?
For number 4, we head over to Paris to Station F.
Ah, the huge one.
Exactly. It's recognized as the world's largest startup campus. Physically massive. It provides this all-in-one ecosystem for over 1,000 startups under just one roof.
1,000, wow.
Yeah, and they offer tons of in-house services too.
Okay, Station F in Paris. Halfway through the top 10, who's fifth?
Number 5 is MassChallenge. They're headquartered in Boston, but they're global too.
And what's their unique angle?
Their standout feature is being a zero-equity accelerator.
Zero equity. So they don't take any ownership.
Nope. Zero stake in the startups they help. It's a nonprofit model. They foster innovation across loads of different industries.
That is really different. Okay, number 6.
Following MassChallenge is Plug and Play Tech Center.
Plug and Play. What's their specialty?
They're based in Sunnyvale, California, and they're really distinctive for working super closely with big corporations.
Like Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah. Think Google, PayPal, Johnson & Johnson. They connect startups with these corporate partners through what they call innovation platforms. It's all about getting those partnerships going.
Corporate synergy. Got it. Number 7.
7th is Entrepreneur First, or EF.
Right, I've heard of them. They do things differently too, don't they?
Very differently. They're known as a talent-first incubator. They don't look for existing startups or even ideas necessarily.
So what do they look for?
Individuals, talented people. They help these individuals find co-founders within the program and then develop ideas into businesses from scratch.
Fascinating. Okay, number 8.
Number 8 is tied directly to a huge name in education, StartX.
Stanford.
Exactly. StartX is strongly associated with Stanford University. It provides equity-free support, academic, entrepreneurial, but only to founders affiliated with Stanford.
Students, alumni, faculty.
Yep, all of them. They leverage that incredible Stanford network and research power.
Makes sense. Almost there. Number 9.
Number 9 is Antler. They're actually pretty similar in concept to Entrepreneur First.
Another talent-first model.
Yes, also helping individuals find teams and build businesses from the ground up. But Antler has maybe an even stronger global outlook from the start. They're in over 25 cities worldwide now.
Okay, EF and Antler focusing on talent. Who rounds out the top 10?
And finally, number 10 is IndieBio.
IndieBio. The name suggests something specific.
It does. They are hyper-specialized. It's a biotechnology-focused accelerator based in San Francisco.
Just biotech.
Yep. They provide the crucial stuff for life science and biotech startups like lab space, which is huge, plus funding and mentorship tailored to that very specific field.
Wow. Okay, even just running through that list quickly, you can see the incredible variety.
Absolutely. Different models, different focuses, different philosophies.
It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all world. Okay, now I'm really curious to unpack these further. Let's dive deep into what really makes these leading incubators tick one by one and understand their real impact. All right, let's kick things off with probably the most famous name on the list, Y Combinator, YC. When people think tech incubator, this is often the first one that pops into their head.
It really is synonymous with startup success, a real gold standard.
Our source document calls it more than just an incubator, like a transformative ecosystem. So what is it that really sets YC apart?
YC's distinction, I think, comes down to a few core things. First, you have that intensive batch model.
Right, the 3-month sprint.
Exactly. It happens twice a year, 3 months, super concentrated. And the genius of it isn't just the speed, it's the forced focus it creates.
What do you mean, forced focus?
Well, it basically compresses what might take years of learning and trying things out into just a few months.
Yeah.
It really pushes founders past, just thinking about stuff to actually doing it and hitting milestones quickly.
Yeah.
It creates this culture of intense, almost relentless focus.
And their funding deal is pretty famous too, right? That standard offer.
Yeah, the standard deal, right now it's $500,000 for 7% equity.
Which is pretty straightforward for venture funding.
Very. And that simplicity is part of the appeal. It cuts through what can be a really complicated, time-sucking process for early startups. They get crucial seed money relatively easily, and they still keep a huge chunk of their company. It's a very attractive deal, especially if you just want to focus on building.
Makes sense. But it's not just about the money, is it? The source mentions their world-class network.
Oh, absolutely. That network is arguably just as valuable, maybe more so. YC has this unparalleled alumni network. We mentioned Airbnb, Stripe, Dropbox. The list goes on and on.
So how does that help the new startups?
It's not just like inspiration, although that's part of it. It's practical, actionable advice from people who've succeeded spectacularly. It's partnership opportunities. It's direct introductions to top-tier investors who trust the YC brand.
So it feeds itself.
Totally. It's this powerful, self-sustaining cycle. Knowledge gets transferred, collaborations happen, past success fuels future success. That network itself becomes a massive competitive advantage for any company that gets in.
And YC itself is very involved, right? It's not just, here's some money and a network, good luck.
No, not at all. That's another key differentiator. They are hands-on with mentorship. Deeply involved. Founders have these famous weekly dinners, tons of office hours, personalized feedback sessions.
You hear stories about the partners really digging in.
Yeah, people like Paul Graham back in the day, or Sam Altman more recently, they were known for really getting into the weeds with companies, challenging assumptions, offering insights that could genuinely change a company's direction. Transformative stuff.
And all of this seems connected to their core philosophy, something about founder empowerment.
Yes, that's absolutely central to how YC thinks. They prioritize the founders, their growth, their decision-making, often more than the initial idea itself.
Really? The idea isn't the main thing.
Not always. The philosophy is rooted in this belief that truly exceptional founders, people with grit, curiosity, adaptability, they are the key. They can pivot, they can figure things out, they can adapt to what the market actually wants, even if their first concept isn't the winner.
So bet on the jockey, not just the horse.
Exactly. The core insight is great founders can often make any reasonably good idea work or find a better one.
Okay, so that's what makes YC special now. But how did this whole thing even start? What's the origin story?
Well, Y Combinator was founded way back in March 2005, but not in Silicon Valley initially.
Oh, right. You mentioned Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Yep. By Paul Graham, Jessica Livingston, Robert Morris, and Trevor Blackwell. And the motivation really came from Paul Graham's own experiences. He'd co-founded a company called ViaWeb.
Which became Yahoo's store, right?
That's the one. And he apparently found the traditional venture capital process kind of frustrating. So they wanted to create something more founder-friendly. Seed money, advice, a structured program.
And did it work right away?
Pretty much. That first batch in the summer of 2005 was tiny, just 8 startups. But it included Reddit and Looped, which became pretty well known.
Reddit was in the first batch. Wow.
Yep. So that early success proved their unique model could work. And that led them to make the strategic move to Silicon Valley in 2006, to be where the action was.
And clearly it didn't stay small. How has it changed over the nearly 2 decades since?
Oh, it's evolved massively. Those batch sizes went from 8 startups to now hundreds per cycle. It's a huge operation.
Hundreds? How do they even manage that?
It's a challenge for sure. We'll touch on that. But yeah, huge scale now. Their alumni are global, everywhere. And the funding model has been tweaked too. Like that standard $500 K deal came in just 2022 to stay competitive and give startups more runway. They also added things like the continuity fund for later stage support.
Okay, so turning to how they actually do it, their methodology,
Yeah.
getting into YC sounds incredibly tough.
It is famously tough. The acceptance rate is tiny, like less than 3%.
Wow.
It starts with an online application, but then there are these intense interviews. And what they're really looking for, again, is founder ability, resilience, adaptability, smarts. They really probe you, the founder, maybe even more than the business plan at that stage.
So it's back to that betting on the jockey idea.
Absolutely. They want people who demonstrate grit, who learn fast, who are curious. Once you're in, the program itself is structured.
Yeah.
Onboarding, then that intense mentorship group sessions, one-on-ones, lots of community building with your batchmates. And it all builds up to that super high-stakes demo day where you pitch to hundreds of investors.
Looking beyond just the companies it launched, what's the bigger cultural impact? The legacy of YC, it feels like it shaped a lot.
It really did. A huge impact is the democratization of innovation, in a way. By focusing on merit and potential, they kind of lowered the barrier to entry for starting a tech company, made it feel more accessible maybe to people from different backgrounds.
And its influence on Silicon Valley itself.
Massive. It played a crucial role in shaping that Silicon Valley culture. The emphasis on speed, rapid iteration, building things customers actually want, the move fast and break things ethos, though maybe less breaking things now. YC alumni definitely set industry benchmarks.
Same globally.
Its influence is undeniable. The YC model has been copied everywhere. Accelerator all over the world use similar batch structures, demo days, mentorship approaches. That just underscores how profound its influence has been on the whole global startup scene. The insight is how one organization really set the template.
But with that kind of scale and influence, there must be downsides or criticisms, right?
Oh, for sure. No organization is perfect. A big one you hear is overcrowding. With hundreds of startups per batch, can each one really get enough personalized attention? That's a fair question.
Right.
There's also a critique about a potential Silicon Valley bias. Even with global founders, the culture, the advice, the network, it's still very rooted in that specific environment. Does it always translate perfectly elsewhere? Maybe not.
And the equity stake.
Yeah, the equity stake debate, that 7% for $500 K, is it always justified? Especially now with more funding options available, some maybe more flexible. It's a constant discussion point.
Interesting point. So looking ahead, if YC keeps growing, keeps adapting, how might its influence shape the global startup world even more? Will it lead to more standardization or maybe paradoxically more diversity as its model spreads? And what does that mean for new companies and ultimately for you as a consumer interacting with the tech they create? It's fascinating to think about that ripple effect.
Okay, from YC, the quintessential Silicon Valley pioneer, let's shift gears to 500 Global. They used to be 500 startups, as you mentioned.
That's right. And they're really known for taking a different tack, particularly focusing on diversity and having a truly global footprint from the get-go.
What's the core differentiator for 500 Global?
500 Global's uniqueness is really baked into its DNA, and it absolutely starts with that incredible global reach. Unlike a lot of others, especially early on, that focused maybe just on the US or Europe, 500 Global actively prioritized what you might call underrepresented markets.
Like where specifically?
We're talking Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Africa, Latin America. They have a presence now in over 75 countries. The core idea, the insight driving them, seems to be talent is everywhere, but opportunity isn't always. They aim to bridge that gap.
And that focus on different places seems directly linked to their focus on different people, their diversity-driven approach.
Exactly. The two go hand in hand. They make a point of actively seeking out and supporting entrepreneurs from underrepresented demographics, women, minorities. They're quite proud, and rightly so, that over 40% of their portfolio companies have founders from these groups.
40%, that's significant. It really is. It makes a tangible difference in diversifying who gets to build the future, fostering genuine inclusivity.
They also use something called a microfund model, right? How does that work?
Yeah, that's another key differentiator. Instead of just one giant global fund, 500 Global operates this network of smaller regional microfunds.
So like a fund just for Southeast Asia.
Exactly, or just for the Middle East.
Huh.
This lets them tailor their investments and their support to the specific needs and nuances of those local markets. You get localized mentorship, capital that understands the local context, but you still tap into the huge global network and resources that 500 Global offers.
Best of both worlds, potentially.
That's the idea: local touch, global reach. They also have a comprehensive curriculum in their accelerator, focused on practical stuff like growth hacking and fundraising, and they tend to focus on very early stage companies, pre-seed and seed, nurturing ideas right at the beginning.
Okay, so how did this globally minded, diversity-focused incubator actually start?
500 Global was founded back in 2010. The key founders were Dave McClure and Christine Tsai.
And what was their vision?
McClure was apparently really driven by this desire to democratize access to startup funding, make it less exclusive. Tsai brought a strong focus on operational excellence. Together, their vision was to back startups globally, really pushing beyond the usual hotspots and recognizing talent wherever it existed.
A name change. From 500 startups to 500 global.
Right. The original name, 500 Startups, apparently came from an initial goal to invest in, well, 500 startups. But their ambition grew way beyond that. They became much more than just an accelerator, a multi-stage investment platform. So in 2021, they rebranded to 500 Global to better reflect that broader scope and worldwide presence.
Makes sense. Did they expand globally quickly?
They did. By 2012, they already had programs running in places like Mexico City and Southeast Asia. And those regional microfunds started appearing in the mid-2010s, really cementing that localized approach. Early successes like Twilio and Credit Karma helped build momentum, too.
And for the startups that get in, what's the actual accelerator program like?
It's typically a 4-month program. The application process itself is competitive, looking for founders with potential, market understanding, resilience.
The usual focus on the team.
Right. Once you're in, the program really emphasizes practical, hands-on learning. Workshops and mentorship focus heavily on things like customer acquisition, growth marketing strategies, effective fundraising, building a strong team. It's very execution-oriented.
And it ends with a demo day.
Yep. It culminates in a demo day where the startups pitch to a curated group of global investors, leveraging that 500 Global network.
Thinking about its cultural impact and legacy, 500 Global clearly carved out a distinct niche.
Absolutely. It's played a really significant role in driving inclusivity in the tech world, simply by making it a priority to back underrepresented founders and invest in underserved markets.
Giving people a shot who might not have gotten one otherwise.
Exactly. And that also means they've been crucial in championing global innovation. They empower startups in regions often overlooked by traditional VCs, helping them solve problems specific to their areas, but with potential global relevance.
And have they influenced other accelerators?
I think so. Their emphasis on using data to make decisions, that hands-on mentorship style, the global perspective, these have definitely influenced how other accelerators operate around the world. They help set industry standards for a more global, data-informed approach.
Now, even with this positive mission, every organization faces hurdles. What are some challenges or criticisms aimed at 500 Global?
Well, one inherent tension is scalability versus personalization. When you have such a huge portfolio spread across so many countries, it's genuinely hard to ensure every single startup gets the same high level of consistent quality and individual attention.
Spread too thin, potentially.
That's the related risk, the risk of dilution. Some critics argue that by spreading resources across so many diverse markets, maybe the impact gets diluted compared to focusing more intensely on fewer regions or companies. It's a constant balancing act. There were also some leadership controversies earlier on involving Dave McClure's departure, which required efforts by Christine Tsai to rebuild trust and reshape the culture.
Right, so thinking about their core mission, how does 500 Global's unwavering emphasis on diversity and global reach create a fundamentally different kind of innovation compared to models that are more localized or, frankly, more homogenous?
Yeah.
And what does their success mean for your potential, regardless of where you live or what your background is?
It really does challenge the idea that innovation only happens in certain places, by certain people. Okay, let's move on to another major player in the incubator and accelerator space. Techstars. They have a massive global presence, but they seem particularly known for their emphasis on mentorship and building a strong community.
That's absolutely right. Our source document highlights Techstars as a defining name, really synonymous with that mentorship-driven approach and broad global outreach.
So what specifically makes Techstars stand out from the crowd?
Techstars has several key distinguishing features. First is that combination of global presence and localized focus. They operate accelerators in over 50 cities worldwide, which is huge.
50 cities. Wow. Yeah. But here's the clever part. They managed to combine that global reach with real local expertise. Often, each city's program has a specific focus tied to the region's strengths or industries.
So a startup in, say, Boulder might have a different experience than one in Berlin.
Potentially, yes. They can tap into tailored local resources, mentors, and networks, but still benefit from the overall worldwide Techstars ecosystem. The insight here is that powerful combination: global scale, local nuance.
That sounds smart. And you mentioned they focus on specific areas too, not just general tech.
Exactly. That's their second big differentiator: vertical specific programs. Unlike some of the more generalist accelerators, Techstars frequently partners with big industry leaders, companies like Amazon, Barclays,
The
Comcast.
corporate names.
Right, and together they run these niche accelerator programs focused on specific sectors. Think fintech, sustainability, health tech, supply chain, you name it.
What's the advantage of that?
It means startups get access to incredibly specialized knowledge within their field, mentors who really know that industry inside and out, and direct connections to potential corporate partners or customers. It's highly targeted support.
Okay. And the word that always comes up with Techstars is mentorship. Is that truly their core focus?
It absolutely is. Their mentorship-driven model is really the heart and soul of Techstars. It's the cornerstone.
How does it work in practice?
Founders in the program are paired up with multiple mentors, seasoned entrepreneurs, industry experts, investors who provide personalized guidance, challenge their thinking, and offer strategic insights throughout the whole intense program. This hands-on, tailored advice is just critical for helping startups navigate the inevitable bumps in the road and scale effectively. The real value add often comes from that experience-specific guidance.
And it's not just about receiving mentorship, is it? There's that famous philosophy, hashtag give first.
Yes. The community-centric philosophy of hashtag GiveFirst is a true hallmark of Techstars. It's more than just a hashtag. It really permeates their culture.
What does it mean practically?
It fosters this incredibly collaborative environment. The expectation is that everyone in the network, alumni, mentors, even the investors involved, contributes their time, expertise, or connections to help others, without necessarily expecting an immediate quid pro quo.
Pay it forward.
Exactly. It's a pay-it-forward system that really strengthens the entire Techstars network and makes the experience much richer for everyone involved. It builds this lasting, resilient community that supports founders long after the official program ends. They also provide long-term support through their alumni network and follow-on investments.
So where did this powerful, community-focused model come from? What's the origin story?
Techstars was founded back in 2006 in Boulder, Colorado. The founders were David Cohen, Brad Feld, David Brown, and Jared Polis, quite a group, each bringing different perspectives.
What was their motivation?
Well, David Cohen apparently saw a gap in structured support for very early-stage companies. Brad Feld brought critical VC insights. Their shared vision was for a program heavily driven by mentorship.
And did it take off quickly?
It did. The very first program ran in Boulder in 2007, and that initial batch included companies like SendGrid and Firo, both of which went on to achieve significant success.
SendGrid, wow. Email infrastructure giant now.
Exactly. So that early success really validated their mentorship-first approach. From there, they expanded pretty rapidly: Boston in 2009, Seattle in 2010. They launched their first corporate accelerator with Microsoft in 2011, which paved the way for all those vertical programs later. They also acquired UP Global, which ran Startup Weekend events in 2015, further boosting their community reach.
Turning to their methodology, getting into Techstars sounds like winning the lottery, less than 1% acceptance rate.
It's incredibly selective, yeah. Their process puts a huge emphasis on the founders themselves. They're looking for resilience, coachability, adaptability, passion, often more than just the perfection of the initial idea.
Team dynamics must be key too.
Absolutely. Strong team dynamics are critical. And of course, they look for startups with potentially scalable solutions and a significant market opportunity. Once accepted, it's a structured, intense 13-week program.
Can you break down those 13 weeks?
Roughly. Month 1 is often about refining the idea, validation, mentorship, matchmaking. Month 2 is heavy on execution and growth, building scalable models, acquiring customers, getting ready to fundraise. And month 3 is really focused on perfecting the pitch leading up to the big demo day for investors and the community.
Looking at their broader impact, how has Techstars influenced the entrepreneurial world beyond just the companies they've launched?
Techstars has played a really pivotal role in creating and nurturing entrepreneurial ecosystems in cities all over the world. By setting up shop locally, they empower local talent but connect them to global networks.
Building bridges.
Exactly. And their focus on community and mentorship has been key in democratizing access to crucial resources. It allows startups from places that aren't traditional tech hubs to get the support they need to compete on a global stage.
And like YC, have they set standards?
Definitely. Techstars methodologies, particularly around mentorship structures and community building, have significantly influenced countless other accelerator programs globally. They've helped shape the best practices for how you support early-stage companies.
But even with this strong model, there must be challenges, right?
Of course. With such rapid expansion into so many cities and verticals, maintaining consistent quality across every single program is a huge operational challenge. You want the Techstars experience in City A to be as good as in City B.
Makes sense. Any other concerns?
Well, with the corporate partnership model, some critics occasionally raise questions about potential corporate influence. Could the sponsor's interests sometimes subtly steer the program or the startups? It's a potential conflict to manage.
Right.
And finally, just the reality of the market. The accelerator space itself has become incredibly crowded. Techstars constantly needs to innovate and refine its model to maintain its competitive edge and demonstrate its unique value proposition against many newer players.
That makes sense. So thinking about their core strength, if mentorship truly is Techstars' superpower, how might its model need to evolve to stay ahead as the startup world gets even more packed? And maybe more personally for listeners, how can that core philosophy of #GiveFirst be applied in your own professional life and your networks, even if you're not in tech? It feels like a powerful principle with broad applications. Okay, let's take a virtual trip to Paris now to explore Station F. Our source document makes a bold claim. It's the world's largest startup campus. That sounds less like an incubator and more like a small city.
It really is on a different scale altogether, and that unprecedented scale in infrastructure is absolutely its core differentiator.
How big are we talking?
Over 34,000 square meters. It's housed in this massive, beautifully renovated former freight train station, the Halle Freycinet, and it has capacity for over 1,000 startups simultaneously.
1,000 startups in one building?
Yep, and what's truly remarkable is the one-stop shop concept they've created. It's not just desks and meeting rooms. They offer event venues, maker labs with 3D printers and tools. But crucially, they also provide in-house services. Things like legal support, accounting help, HR resources right there on campus.
That must save founders a ton of hassle.
Exactly. It significantly cuts down on the administrative headaches that can bog down early-stage companies, freeing them up to focus purely on building their business. The insight is, remove every possible logistical friction point and you unleash entrepreneurial energy.
That's incredible support. And do they cater to specific types of startups, or is it broad?
It's incredibly broad, which is another key aspect. Diverse and inclusive programs. Station F actually hosts over 30 different accelerator and incubator programs run by various partners within the campus.
It's like a hub of hubs.
Kind of, yeah. These programs cover a huge range of industries: fintech, gaming, AI, health tech, fashion tech, you name it. And they have a very strong stated commitment to diversity. A great example is their Fighters program.
What's that?
It specifically supports entrepreneurs who come from underprivileged backgrounds, offering them free access and tailored support. It's a real statement about inclusivity.
That's fantastic. So it's not just massive scale, but also about the connections you can make there.
Precisely. That comprehensive ecosystem and global network are a massive draw. Station F has partnerships with huge international tech giants. Facebook, Meta, Google, Microsoft, many others have programs or offices right there.
So startups get direct access.
Yes, access to their technologies, potential mentorship, funding opportunities. Plus, just the sheer density of startups, investors, corporates, and regular events creates this incredibly vibrant, collaborative community. It's designed for networking and serendipitous encounters.
This sounds like a project of monumental ambition. How did it even come about? Who had this vision?
Station F was really the brainchild of one person, Xavier Niel.
The French telecom billionaire. founder of Free.
That's him. He's a major figure in French tech. And he apparently saw a gap back in 2013. Europe, particularly Paris, lacked a single, large-scale, centralized hub that could genuinely compete with Silicon Valley's density. He wanted to build something ambitious, but with a European flavor.
And he put his own money in.
A lot of his own money, reportedly around $250 million. He bought the historic Halle Freycinet and funded the massive 4-year renovation project himself. The name Station F is a nod to the building's past as a freight station and Freycinet, the engineer.
And it launched with quite a bit of fanfare.
Oh, yes. It officially opened in June 2017, and the inauguration was led by French President Emmanuel Macron. It was a major statement about France's tech ambitions.
So if a startup wants to get into this massive campus, what's the process like?
It's highly competitive, as you'd expect, and it's open to startups from anywhere in the world. They look for innovative potential, the strength of the team, and scalability, just like most top programs.
And you apply to Station F itself or
Right.
to one of the 30-plus programs inside?
Usually you apply to one of the specific programs hosted there, whether it's their flagship Founders Program, one of the corporate partner programs like Facebook's Startup Garage, or L'Oreal's Beauty Tech Program, or specialized ones like the Fighters Program. They also have programs for very early-stage ideas, Launchpad, and international partnerships.
This sounds like it must have had a huge impact, particularly on Paris.
Absolutely. Station F has played a truly significant role in revitalizing Paris as a major European tech hub. It's attracted global talent, investment, and attention. It really put Paris on the map in a new way for tech.
And the diversity focus.
So that's been huge, too. Through programs like Fighters, it's really set a benchmark for fostering diversity and inclusivity in the often very homogenous tech world. It sends a powerful message.
And the global aspect.
By bringing together people and companies from all over, it's been incredibly successful in building a vibrant, collaborative global community right there in Paris, fostering cross-border innovation and connections.
Okay, but what are the downsides? 1,000 startups in one place. Sounds like it could get crowded.
That's definitely one of the main criticisms of overcrowding. With so many people and companies, can you really get the individual attention you might get in a smaller program? That's a valid concern.
Competition must be fierce, too.
Extremely. The high competition for spots in the various programs means many good startups likely don't get in. And while it attracts global talent, its physical location means it's inherently Paris-centric, which might limit accessibility or relevance for startups focused on entirely different markets.
And maintaining quality across 30-plus different programs.
That's the perennial challenge for any large, complex organization, maintaining consistent quality and ensuring a high standard of support across all the different programs operating under its roof. It requires constant vigilance and coordination.
It's an incredible concept, though. So if a single campus can house over 1,000 startups and offer such comprehensive support, what does that imply about the future of work, maybe even the future of cities and innovation clusters? Could we see more of these mega campuses pop up globally, maybe focused on specific industries? And how might that change the game for entrepreneurs like you? The scale of ambition is just mind-boggling. All right, next up, let's dig into MassChallenge. This one really stands out because of its core philosophy, particularly its famous zero equity model. Our source calls it a catalyst for global innovation. What exactly makes MassChallenge so different?
MassChallenge's most defining characteristic, hands down, is that zero equity model. This is huge.
Explain that again. What does zero equity mean in practice?
It means that unlike almost every other accelerator out there that takes a percentage of ownership equity in the startups they help, MassChallenge takes nothing, 0%.
How can they afford to do that?
They operate as a nonprofit organization. Their funding comes from sponsorships, partnerships, donations, not from investment returns on the startups.
And why is that so appealing to founders?
Because it means entrepreneurs get to keep full ownership of their companies. They get access to extensive resources, mentorship, networks, potential prize money, without giving up a chunk of their business right at the start. That's incredibly attractive, especially for early-stage founders. The insight is, removing that equity barrier can unlock innovation from people who might be hesitant to give up ownership so early. It democratizes access.
Got it. And they're not just in Boston, right? They have a global footprint, too.
Yes. Despite the name suggesting Massachusetts, they have a significant global reach. They run programs in key innovation hubs worldwide, places like Boston, of course, but also London, Jerusalem, Mexico City, Switzerland, Texas. This ensures startups from diverse backgrounds and regions can access their model.
And who do they typically work with? What stage?
They have a strong focus on early-stage startups. While some programs prefer companies that are a bit further along, MassChallenge is really dedicated to helping entrepreneurs turn those initial ideas into viable businesses, getting them launched.
Do they focus on specific industries?
No, that's another key point. They have a multi-industry approach. They support startups across a really wide range of sectors: healthcare, clean energy, fintech, social impact, general tech, high tech. You name it. This fosters broad cross-sector innovation and collaboration within their cohorts.
And you mentioned social impact. Is that a particular focus?
It is. They have a notable commitment to social impact. It's not just about financial success. They actively encourage and support startups that are tackling big global challenges: climate change, poverty, health disparities. It's about aligning innovation with societal good. The insight is that profit and purpose aren't mutually exclusive.
That's a great mission. So how did this unique zero equity nonprofit model even start?
MassChallenge was founded back in 2009 by John Hawthorne and Akil Nigam. They were both MIT Sloan graduates.
And what sparked the idea?
Apparently, it grew out of the context of the 2008 financial crisis. They saw a need to spur economic recovery and believed that empowering entrepreneurs was key, but they felt the traditional equity models could be a barrier.
So they thought, let's remove the barrier.
Exactly. Their vision was to democratize access to resources and specifically take away that financial hurdle of giving up equity, making it easier for anyone with a great idea to get started.
Did it work? Did people buy into the model?
It seems so. Their very first program in Boston in 2010 attracted hundreds of applications. They selected 111 startups for that first cohort and awarded a combined $1 million in non-dilutive cash prizes at the end. That really validated the zero equity concept.
And that led to the global expansion.
Yep. Following the early success, they expanded globally through the 2010s: London, Jerusalem, Mexico City, etc. They also introduced industry-specific tracks within their programs, like health tech and fintech, around 2015. By their 10th anniversary in 2020, they'd supported thousands of startups who had collectively raised billions in funding and created tens of thousands of jobs, really proving the model's impact at scale.
So if a startup applies, how do they get selected if MassChallenge isn't taking equity? What's the criteria?
It's a rigorous, merit-based selection process. They have multiple rounds of judging involving hundreds of volunteer industry experts.
What are the judges looking for?
They evaluate the startups based on their potential impact, scalability, the strength of the team, and how effectively the startup can leverage the MassChallenge network and resources. It's all about potential, not about MassChallenge's financial return.
And the program itself.
For those selected, and remember, no equity is taken, it's typically a 4-month accelerator program. It involves an intensive bootcamp phase, personalized mentorship matching, workshops on key topics like pitching and financial planning, access to corporate partners, and it culminates in a high-profile showcase and awards ceremony where top-performing startups receive significant cash prizes, still non-dilutive.
This unique model must have had a pretty significant cultural impact.
It definitely has. MassChallenge has made a big contribution to supporting economic growth simply by fostering so much entrepreneurship and job creation globally.
And the democratization aspect.
That's huge. By eliminating the equity requirement and providing free resources, they've genuinely democratized entrepreneurship, making it accessible to a much wider, more diverse audience. Financial constraints are less likely to exclude a promising idea or team.
And the global network.
Through its international hubs and programs, it's been instrumental in building a global community, connecting entrepreneurs, mentors, investors, and partners across borders, fostering collaboration.
Okay, but what are the challenges? Running as a nonprofit without taking equity sounds tough financially.
That's the core challenge: the sustainability of the nonprofit model. Because they don't have equity returns funding their operations, they rely heavily and continuously on fundraising, corporate sponsorships, and philanthropic support. It requires constant effort to keep the lights on.
What about scaling?
Scalability issues are also a concern. As they expand globally and run more programs, maintaining that high quality of mentorship and support consistently across all locations is a significant challenge, just like with other large networks.
And competition.
Yes, the accelerator space is increasingly competitive. MassChallenge needs to constantly articulate its unique value proposition against many other players, both nonprofit and for-profit. And finally, while they track metrics like funding and jobs, measuring the broader social and economic impact of their work, especially the social impact angle, can be complex and harder to quantify than simple financial returns.
That makes sense. So it raises a really interesting question. Does the zero equity model truly lead to better outcomes for founders in the long run because they keep full ownership? Or does it introduce other unique challenges, like maybe less skin in the game from the accelerator? And thinking about their mission, how does MassChallenge's explicit focus on social impact align with your own values about what innovation should achieve? What problems should we be prioritizing? It's a really compelling alternative model in the ecosystem. All right, our next deep dive takes us into Plug and Play Tech Center. They're based in Silicon Valley but have a truly global reach, as we've seen with others. What really makes Plug and Play stand out, though, is their deep focus on connecting startups with large corporations.
That's exactly right. Our source material really emphasizes this as their hallmark. Plug and Play is a pivotal player known specifically for fostering these corporate startup partnerships.
So how does that work in practice? What's their core differentiator?
Their main distinction is that intense focus on corporate collaboration. They've built this massive network of corporate partners. We're talking hundreds of Fortune 500 companies. You mentioned Google, PayPal, Johnson & Johnson earlier. Add Mercedes-Benz, BNP Paribas, P&G. The list is huge.
Okay, so they have the corporate signed up. How do they connect them with startups?
They run these things called innovation platforms. These are essentially structured programs designed to facilitate direct interaction and partnerships between their corporate members and relevant startups in their ecosystem. The goal is often co-creation, pilot projects, licensing deals, or even investment.
So startups get a direct line to potential big customers or partners.
Exactly. It allows startups to potentially scale much faster by leveraging the resources, market access, and real-world application opportunities provided by these established companies. The insight is recognizing that big companies desperately need innovation, and startups desperately need scale and market access. Plug and Play acts is that bridge.
And is it just general tech, or do they focus?
They are very focused, which is another key aspect. Industry-specific programs. They run over 20 distinct vertical programs.
20? Like what?
Things like fintech, insurtech, health, mobility, IoT, energy, sustainability, new materials, really specific niches.
So if you're a startup in one of those areas,
You get connected with mentors, investors, and crucially, corporations that are specifically interested in innovation within your sector. It's highly targeted matchmaking designed to accelerate relevant innovation.
and they operate globally too.
Yes, their global reach is significant. They have operations in over 50 locations worldwide across the Americas, Europe, Asia, the Middle East. This footprint helps startups access international markets and facilitates cross-border collaborations, both with other startups and with global corporations.
What about funding? Do they invest?
They do. This is interesting. They have a dual role. They act as an accelerator platform, but they're also a very active venture capital firm. They invest in hundreds of seed and early-stage startups every year.
So they take equity then.
Here's where it gets flexible. Their core accelerator programs and innovation platform are typically non-equity based. Startups participate, get connections, run pilots without giving up equity for that access. But Plug and Play also separately makes venture investments in many of the promising companies that come through their ecosystem.
So it's a flexible engagement. Startups can get the connections without equity, but might also get investment later.
Precisely. This flexible engagement model is really appealing to founders who want those corporate connections and resources, but might be wary of early equity dilution.
Okay, let's talk history. How did this model of bridging corporations and startups come about for Plug and Play?
Plug and Play was officially founded in 2006 by Saeed Amidi. He is a Silicon Valley entrepreneur with a background in real estate and tech investments.
And the name. Does it mean something?
The genesis actually goes back further to the Amidi family's office building in Palo Alto. Famously, in the late 90s and early 2000s, they rented space to some very early-stage companies, including Google, PayPal, and Logitech.
Wow, really? That building must have had something in the water.
Right. So Amidi saw the power of just providing space and basic infrastructure, the plug-and-play environment. He realized there was huge potential in creating a more structured ecosystem around that, adding mentorship, networking, and critically, investor access.
And the corporate angle. When did that start?
The formal corporate partnerships started to really take shape around 2008, with early partners like PayPal and Logitech, who'd been tenants before. Then through the 2010s, they experienced rapid global expansion and launched those first vertical-specific programs like fintech and health tech around 2015. By 2020, they'd worked with tens of thousands of startups, invested in over 1,500 companies, and facilitated countless corporate startup deals. Alumni include big names like Dropbox and Lending Club.
So if a startup gets accepted, what does the program actually look like?
The application process is competitive, focusing on market potential, the innovation itself, and how well the startup aligns with one of their specific industry verticals or corporate partner needs.
And the program length?
Programs typically run for about 3 to 6 months. It involves onboarding, introductions to relevant corporate partners, mentors, and investors. There's hands-on mentorship, workshops on scaling and fundraising. But the really unique part is the focus on facilitating pilot opportunities through those corporate partnerships.
Real-world testing and validation.
Exactly. And it all culminates in a demo day, or often multiple themed expo days, focused on showcasing the startups to investors and, very importantly, to their corporate stakeholders.
This model seems like it would have a very distinct cultural impact.
Absolutely. Plug and Play has fundamentally transformed how startups and corporations collaborate. They've built a systematic way for large companies to tap into cutting-edge external innovation while giving startups invaluable market access, validation, and resources. They really are that crucial bridge.
And the global aspect.
Through their international hubs, they've played a key role in globalizing innovation, helping startups from anywhere connect with global markets and multinational partners, and those vertical programs have significantly supported industry transformation, acting as catalysts for innovation in critical sectors like finance, health, and mobility.
What about the challenges or criticisms? It sounds like a complex operation to manage.
It is. A key challenge is balancing scale and personalization. With such a huge portfolio and so many corporate partners, ensuring deep, meaningful engagement for everyone involved is tough.
And the corporate influence.
That's a perennial question for this model. Is there a risk that the needs or interests of the corporate sponsors might sometimes overshadow the best interests of the startups? It's a potential conflict they need to navigate carefully.
What else?
Maintaining global consistency across dozens of international locations is always hard, ensuring the plug-and-play experience is high quality everywhere. And because their main platform is non-equity, some might question the long-term financial returns of that model compared to traditional VCs, although they do obviously make direct VC investments as well.
It's a fascinating model, bridging two worlds that often struggle to connect effectively. So thinking ahead, in our increasingly complex global economy, how vital will this corporate startup bridge model become, especially for established industries that need to innovate rapidly just to survive? Could this predict a future where big companies rely more on external startup innovation and less on their own internal R&D? It seems like a very pragmatic path forward. Okay, let's shift our focus now to Entrepreneur First, or EF. This is another organization that really flips the traditional accelerator model on its head. Our source describes it as redefining the game by focusing on individuals before they even have a team or startup idea.
That's the absolute core differentiator for EF. It's talent-first approach. It's radical, really.
How does it work? What do they mean by talent first?
Unlike almost every other program that looks for, a startup with at least a basic concept and maybe a co-founder or two, EF focuses entirely on finding exceptional individuals, people they believe have high entrepreneurial potential, regardless of whether they currently have a business idea.
So you can apply to EF just as is.
Yeah.
Yourself, with maybe a good resume, but no company.
Exactly. You apply based on your skills, your ambition, your potential. Then the program itself is designed to help you find a co-founder from within the cohort of other talented individuals they've selected.
Wow, so they play matchmaker.
In a very structured way, yes. They have a structured team formation process. The initial phase of the program is all about participants meeting each other, exploring ideas, testing out working relationships, and forming teams organically but with guidance. The core insight is that often the biggest barrier for talented people isn't the lack of ideas, it's finding the right co-founder. EF tries to solve that specific problem first.
That's fascinating. Does this lead to more diverse teams?
That's another key aspect. Because they recruit individuals based on talent and potential from various backgrounds, academia, industry, different technical fields, they often end up with diverse cohorts. This naturally leads to more multidisciplinary teams, which can spark really innovative solutions by combining different perspectives and skill sets.
And do they provide funding? How does that work if there's no company initially?
Yes, they do provide funding, but it comes later in the process once teams have formed and developed an idea they want to pursue. It's an equity-based investment. EF invests in the newly formed companies in exchange for equity, aligning their incentives with the founder's success.
And where do they operate? Is this a global thing?
It is now. They started in London, but they have a significant global reach, with locations in major cities like Singapore, Bangalore, Berlin, Paris, Toronto. This allows them to tap into diverse global talent pools and connect the companies they back with international markets right from the start.
Do they focus on particular types of technology?
They have a strong reputation and focus on deep tech and frontier innovation. Things like AI, machine learning, biotech, quantum computing areas where combining deep technical expertise is often crucial. They attract talent interested in solving really complex, high-impact problems.
Okay, so how did this talent first idea even come about? What's the origin story?
Entrepreneur First was founded in London back in 2011 by Matt Clifford and Alice Bentinck. They actually met while working as consultants at McKinsey.
And what did they observe that led to EF?
They noticed that a lot of incredibly smart, capable individuals, people with PhDs, top engineers, were often choosing traditional, stable career paths in corporates or academia rather than taking the risk of starting a company.
Why?
Often because they didn't have a co-founder or didn't have that killer initial idea or just didn't know how to navigate the startup world. So Clifford and Bentinck envisioned a program that could specifically unlock the entrepreneurial potential in those individuals, removing those initial barriers.
And did it work early on?
Yes, their first cohort in London, though relatively small, validated the approach. It produced some notable successes like Magic Pony technology.
The AI company acquired by Twitter.
That's the one. And another called Tractable, which is now a major AI player in insurance. Those early wins proved the model could work and fueled their rapid global expansion, starting with Singapore in 2016. They also attracted backing from prominent investors like Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn. Their deep tech focus became a real defining feature, and they launched a global fund in 2020 to standardize their investments across locations.
So if you're one of these talented individuals and you get accepted, what does the program actually involve?
Well, the application process itself is highly selective. They're looking for exceptional individuals, people with what they call a spike, some area of deep expertise or outstanding ability. They use rigorous interviews to assess problem-solving skills, creativity, resilience, drive.
And the program structure. You mentioned 2 phases.
Right. It typically runs for about 6 months. Phase 1 is the form phase. This is all about meeting potential co-founders, exploring ideas, testing partnerships, and ultimately forming a team with a shared vision. EF provides workshops, mentorship, and structure to facilitate this.
That sounds intense. What happens if you don't find a team?
That can happen. Not everyone makes it through the form phase. If you do form a team and develop a promising concept, you move into phase 2, the launch phase.
And that's more like a traditional accelerator?
Sort of. Teams focus on validating their idea, building a prototype, refining the business model. This phase culminates in pitching to EF's investment committee for pre-seed funding. If they invest, they continue to support the company. They also offer ongoing support through potential follow-on funding and access to their global alumni network.
This talent-first model seems like it would have a pretty profound cultural impact.
It really has. EF has genuinely redefined the starting point of entrepreneurship for many. They've challenged that traditional notion that you must have a brilliant idea or a co-founder before you can even begin. They've created a whole new pathway for talented individuals.
And the deep tech focus.
That's positioned them as a leader in promoting deep tech innovation. They're actively fostering startups working on really cutting-edge, complex solutions to big global challenges. And their international expansion has created a truly global community, fostering cross-border teams and collaboration.
But it can't all be smooth sailing. What are the challenges or criticisms EF faces?
Well, the nature of forming teams from scratch means team compatibility issues are a common challenge. Finding the right co-founder under pressure isn't easy, and there's inevitably some attrition teams forming and then breaking up during that intense form phase.
What about scaling the model?
Like other global networks, scalability is tough. Maintaining the quality of mentorship, the intensity of the program, and the effectiveness of the matchmaking across multiple continents and cultures is a constant challenge. The program is also known for being very intense, which can potentially lead to participant burnout.
And the focus.
While the deep tech focus is a strength, it also means EF might be less relevant or appealing to talented individuals interested in starting businesses in other sectors, like consumer goods or traditional e-commerce.
It's such a different approach. So if you're out there listening and you feel like you have the talent, the drive, but maybe not that specific idea yet or the right partner, how revolutionary does EF's talent-first model feel? Could this kind of approach, building the team before the idea, become the standard way for high-potential individuals to jump into the startup world in the future? It really lowers a different kind of barrier. All right, let's move on to StartX. This one is unique because of its incredibly tight connection to one of the world's most prestigious universities, Stanford. Our source calls it a nonprofit accelerator leveraging Stanford's rich ecosystem. What's the core differentiator here?
StartX is definitely unique, and for several reasons. First, like MassChallenge, it operates using a nonprofit and equity-free model.
No equity again.
Correct. They don't take any ownership stake in the companies they support. This means their entire mission is purely focused on empowering the founders and fostering innovation, not on generating financial returns for StartX itself. The insight is that sometimes pure mission alignment can be a powerful motivator.
And that connection to Stanford is obviously huge.
Absolutely. The Stanford affiliation is its most defining characteristic. StartX exclusively supports entrepreneurs who are affiliated with Stanford University.
So who qualifies? Students, alumni.
Students, alumni, faculty, even staff members. If you have a current or past Stanford connection, you might be eligible.
And what does that connection give them?
It provides unparalleled access to potentially cutting-edge research coming out of the university, access to world-class mentors who are often Stanford professors or successful alumni themselves, and access to a highly skilled talent pool right there from the student body and alumni network. It's tapping directly into one of the world's premier innovation engines. The insight. Leveraging an existing top-tier academic ecosystem can be an incredible accelerator for startups.
They also seem to really focus on the founders themselves, not just the business.
That's right. They have a very founder-centric approach. A lot of their programming is geared towards founder development, building leadership skills, fostering resilience, thinking about long-term strategy. It's about helping the person grow alongside the company.
And the community aspect.
They foster a strong collaborative community among the participating founders. Because they're all connected through Stanford, there's often a built-in sense of shared identity. They encourage peer-to-peer learning, sharing resources, supporting each other. It enhances the whole experience. They also support startups across a diversity of industries, promoting cross-pollination.
So how did this unique university-linked nonprofit accelerator get started?
StartX was founded back in 2009 by Cameron Titleman, who was a Stanford student at the time.
A student started it.
Yeah. He apparently saw that even though Stanford had incredible resources and brilliant people, there wasn't enough structured support specifically for student and alumni entrepreneurs trying to get ventures off the ground. There was a gap.
So he decided to fill it himself.
Pretty much. It started as a student-run initiative, basically just trying to create a community for Stanford entrepreneurs to connect and share resources.
And Stanford University got involved later.
Yes, its early success and momentum caught the university's attention. In 2013, they formalized a partnership. Stanford started providing funding and resources, and importantly, they established the Stanford StartX Fund.
Which does what?
It's a fund that can invest in StartX companies. Crucially, the fund is structured so that StartX itself remains nonprofit and doesn't benefit financially from the investments, maintaining its mission alignment. But it provides a pathway for StartX companies to get funding that's still closely linked to the ecosystem.
Clever structure. And has it been successful?
Very much so. The first cohort was in 2010, validating the equity-free model. By 2015, they'd supported hundreds of successful startups like Gluco in digital health and Matroid in AI. They launched a dedicated healthcare track in 2018. By 2020, StartX gained global recognition with its alumni collectively raising billions in funding.
So if you're a Stanford-affiliated founder, how do you get into StartX?
There's a rigorous application process, obviously requiring that Stanford affiliation. They focus on the excellence of the team, the potential for innovation, and importantly, the founder's commitment to personal and professional growth aligning with their founder-centric approach.
And the program itself, what does it offer?
The core programs revolve around that founder development piece, workshops, personalized mentorship, leadership coaching. They have industry-specific tracks like StartX Med for healthcare ventures. There's a strong emphasis on community engagement peer sessions, networking events, and, as mentioned, access to potential equity-free funding through the Stanford StartX Fund.
This deep integration with the university seems like it would have a very specific kind of impact.
It does. StartX has played a pivotal role in driving innovation not just at Stanford, but also contributing significantly to the broader Silicon Valley ecosystem. Many StartX companies are tackling major global challenges.
And the founder focus.
That unique emphasis on personal growth alongside business development really empowers founders in a holistic way, setting it apart from programs solely focused on metrics. And of course, it significantly strengthens Stanford's own ecosystem, enhancing its reputation as a world-leading hub for entrepreneurship and innovation, creating a virtuous cycle.
What about the downsides or criticisms?
The most obvious one is its exclusivity. Being limited only to Stanford affiliates inherently restricts access for talented entrepreneurs who don't have that connection. It's a closed garden, in a sense.
Yeah, the nonprofit model.
Like MassChallenge, its sustainability as a nonprofit depends on continued funding, primarily from Stanford and donations, which can create challenges. Scalability is also an issue. Maintaining the quality and depth of support as the number of participants grows is always hard. And finally, it faces intense competition from all the other well-funded accelerators right there in its Silicon Valley backyard.
It really highlights the power of leveraging an existing ecosystem. So how does tapping into a major university's resources, network, and brand like Stanford's uniquely position StartX for success compared to completely independent incubators? And could we, or maybe should we, see more universities around the world adopting such a deeply integrated model to boost regional innovation and empower their own students and alumni? It seems like a powerful template. Okay, let's turn now to Antler. This is another fascinating one, often mentioned in the same breath as Entrepreneur First, because it also takes that talent-first approach. Our source describes Antler as a global talent investor. How does it carve out its own identity in this space?
Antler definitely shares that core talent-first model with EF, focusing on identifying exceptional individuals before they necessarily have a team or a fully formed idea. That's central.
So find the smart, ambitious people first.
Exactly. And then provide the platform and support for them to find co-founders within the Antler cohort and develop viable business concepts together. It's about investing in human potential at the earliest possible stage.
You mentioned earliest possible stage. How early are we talking?
This is maybe where Antler pushes it even further. They really emphasize working at the pre-team and pre-idea stage. They explicitly invite people who might just have an inkling they want to be an entrepreneur, maybe leaving a corporate job or academia, but haven't yet figured out the what or the who. It provides a unique, structured pathway into entrepreneurship itself. The insight is lowering the barrier even further back in the process.
And they are seriously global, right?
Extremely. Their global presence is a huge part of their identity. They operate in over 25 cities worldwide now, across Europe, North America, Asia-Pacific, Africa. Think Singapore, Amsterdam, New York, Sydney, Nairobi, Sao Paulo. It's a vast network.
What does that global reach enable?
It allows them to tap into incredibly diverse talent pools from all over the world,
Right.
and it creates this truly international network for the startups they form, fostering cross-border teams and global ambitions from day one. It's built for global scale.
What kind of support do they offer beyond matchmaking?
They provide really comprehensive support end-to-end. It starts with facilitating ideation and team formation. Then it moves into product development guidance, scaling strategies. They offer workshops, intensive mentorship, access to their global network of advisors and investors, and crucially, seed funding.
So they invest equity, like EF.
Yes, it's an equity-based investment model. They invest seed capital into the teams that successfully form and pass their investment committee, taking an equity stake. This aligns Antler's success directly with the long-term success of the founders they back.
Do they look for specific types of companies?
They have a strong focus on scalability and impact. They're looking for startups that are tackling large markets and have the potential to make a significant difference, often with a tech focus, including areas like deep tech and sustainability.
So another relatively recent player compared to YC or Techstars.
Yeah.
How did Antler get started?
Antler was founded more recently, in 2017, by Magnus Grimeland. He's a Norwegian entrepreneur, former McKinsey consultant, and notably a co-founder of Zalora, the big Asian e-commerce company.
What was his motivation? What gap did he see?
Similar to the EF founders, Grimeland recognized that many incredibly talented people around the world lack the resources, the network, or maybe just the confidence to take the leap into entrepreneurship. He envisioned Antler as a global platform to democratize access to that opportunity.
And did the model catch on quickly?
It really did. Their first cohort launched in Singapore in 2018, attracting a diverse group of participants. Its success validated the model and fueled incredibly rapid global expansion over the next few years. London, Amsterdam, New York, Sydney popped up very quickly between 2019 and 2021.
Any notable early successes?
Yes, by 2020, one of their early portfolio companies reached unicorn status, which was a huge proof point for their talent-first approach, generating significant value. They've also launched larger follow-on Antler funds to support their companies beyond the initial seed stage and introduced a clearer focus on impact investing around 2021, particularly in areas like climate change and financial inclusion.
So if you're applying to Antler, what are they looking for?
The application process is rigorous, again, focused on identifying exceptional individual potential. They use talent assessments looking at skills, experience, drive, problem-solving ability. They actively prioritize building diverse cohorts with complementary skills, and they evaluate that raw entrepreneurial potential resilience, creativity, calculated risk-taking.
And the program itself, how is it structured?
It typically runs for about 6 months, usually in 2 phases, similar to EF. The first phase is all about team formation and ideation, intense networking, workshops, brainstorming, trying out partnerships.
A matchmaking phase.
Exactly. If you successfully form a team and develop a compelling concept, you move into the second phase, execution and investment. This involves building prototypes, validating the idea with customers, refining the business model, and ultimately pitching to Antler's internal investment committee for that crucial seed funding.
And after the program,
They offer continued support through potential follow-on funding from their larger funds, access to their extensive global alumni network, and connections to corporate partners.
what about Antler's broader cultural impact? How are they changing the landscape?
By focusing on individuals, Antler is significantly contributing to democratizing entrepreneurship on a global scale, opening up new pathways for people who might not fit the traditional startup founder mold.
And the global network.
That international reach is profoundly fostering global collaboration. It enables startups to think and act globally almost from inception, building cross-border teams and targeting international markets much earlier. And their growing emphasis on impact means they're actively advancing impact-driven innovation, helping create startups aimed at solving pressing global challenges in sustainability, health, and education.
But like EF, this model must have its challenges.
Definitely. The team compatibility issue is inherent when you're forming teams from scratch under pressure. Finding the perfect co-founder match isn't guaranteed, leading to some turnover.
And managing that global scale.
Scalability is a huge challenge. Maintaining consistent quality, culture, and effectiveness across 25-plus locations worldwide is incredibly complex. The program is also known for being very high pressure, potentially leading to burnout for some participants. And as a relatively young organization compared to some giants, Antler still needs to consistently demonstrate the long-term success and return on investment of its unique model over time.
Another really thought-provoking model. Given Antler's rapid global expansion and this talent-first philosophy, what are the broader implications for local startup ecosystems everywhere? Could this model genuinely lead to a more equitable distribution of entrepreneurial opportunity, truly allowing anyone, anywhere with the talent, to find their team and build something impactful? It holds out a pretty exciting promise. Okay, our final deep dive into the top 10 takes us to IndieBio. This one immediately signals its focus. It's all about biology and life sciences. Our source calls it a groundbreaking force, redefining incubation specifically for biotech. What makes IndieBio so unique?
IndieBio's absolute core distinction is its hyper-focused dedication to biotech and life sciences. Unlike all the general tech incubators we've discussed, IndieBio only works with startups in these fields.
Why is that specialization so important in biotech?
Because biotech startups have incredibly unique needs. They need access to expensive lab facilities, they need deep scientific expertise, and they need help navigating complex, often slow, regulatory pathways. General tech incubators usually aren't equipped to provide that specific support. The insight is, deep science requires deep, specialized infrastructure and knowledge.
And IndieBio provides the labs. That sounds like a massive advantage.
It's huge. They provide fully equipped wet labs right on site. This is critical. Finding affordable, suitable lab space is one of the biggest hurdles for early-stage biotech companies. Having it readily available dramatically lowers the barrier to entry and accelerates the research and development. You can run experiments immediately.
What about funding? Biotech is notoriously expensive.
Right. So IndieBio provides early-stage investment, typically pre-seed funding around $250,000 in exchange for equity. This initial capital is crucial because it allows founders to focus on that vital early R&D, proving out their science, without the immediate, immense pressure of raising large external rounds, which can be very tough for unproven biotech.
And the program itself must be tailored too.
Exactly. It's an intensive program structure, usually 4 months long, specifically designed to help biotech startups. This includes refining their scientific approach,
Right.
developing a viable business model, understanding the specific regulatory hurdles in their field, and figuring out how to scale a science-based company. It involves specialized mentorship and workshops.
They also seem to have a strong sense of mission.
Very much so. There's a clear commitment to solving global challenges. IndieBio actively prioritizes startups working on big, impactful problems. Things like climate change solutions, like alternative proteins or materials, developing new diagnostics or therapeutics for diseases, improving food security through agricultural biotech. It's a mission-driven approach, aiming to fund science with the potential to significantly benefit humanity.
And the network must be specialized too.
Absolutely. They provide access to a highly curated mentorship and industry connections network composed of experienced biotech entrepreneurs, scientists, specialist VCs who understand deep tech, and relevant corporate partners in pharma, agriculture, and material science.
So how did this specialized biotech accelerator come about? What's the origin story?
IndieBio was founded in 2014. The key founders were Arvind Gupta and Ryan Bethencourt, and it was launched under the umbrella of SOSV.
SOSV, the global VC firm we mentioned earlier.
That's right. They run several deep tech-focused accelerators, including HAX for hardware. The motivation for IndieBio reportedly came from frustration with the existing biotech funding landscape.
Oh, it's the problem.
Traditional VCs often preferred to invest in biotech companies that were much further along, maybe already in clinical trials. There was a real gap in funding and support for very early-stage, potentially revolutionary science coming straight out of labs. Gupta and Bethencourt envisioned IndieBio as a way to democratize access to resources for these scientist entrepreneurs, helping them turn discoveries into actual businesses.
Bridging the gap between lab bench and market.
Precisely, and unlock a whole new wave of innovation by making it feasible.
Did it work? Any early successes?
Yes, it gained traction quickly. Their first cohort ran in San Francisco, and it included companies that became pioneers in new fields, like Clara Foods, which is now the Every company, making animal proteins through fermentation.
In Memphis meat.
Right, which is now Upside Foods, a leader in the cultivated meat space. These early successes showed that IndieBio's model could catalyze genuinely groundbreaking technologies, especially in synthetic biology and food tech.
And has it expanded?
Yes, they launched a second location in New York City in 2019 to tap into the talent and ecosystem there. By 2021, their alumni companies had collectively raised over $2 billion in follow-on funding, tackling everything from sustainable materials to new medical treatments. Their success has definitely inspired similar biotech-focused programs globally, and recent cohorts show a growing focus on climate tech solutions, too.
So if you're a biotech startup applying, what's the selection process like?
It's rigorous, as you'd expect. They're looking for high-potential teams and technologies. Key criteria include the scientific validity of the approach, the potential for commercialization, the passion and expertise of the founders, and the scalability and impact of the proposed solution, especially concerning those global challenges.
And the 4-month program.
It includes onboarding and goal setting, then intensive product development using IndieBio's labs. Alongside the science, there's a heavy focus on business model refinement, go-to-market strategy, intellectual property, navigating regulatory pathways specific to biotech. And it culminates in a high-profile demo day designed to attract follow-on investment from specialist VCs.
What's the lasting impact, the legacy of IndieBio so far?
It's had a huge impact on democratizing biotech entrepreneurship. By providing labs, seed funding, and specialized support, it's significantly lowered the barriers for scientists who want to start companies, enabling ideas that might have previously languished in academia.
And the focus on global challenges.
That's led to many alumni companies making real contributions toward advancing sustainability and health. They're tackling critical issues in food, climate, and medicine. And IndieBio's success has undoubtedly inspired a new wave of innovation globally, encouraging more support and funding for very early-stage biotech ventures. It's shifted the landscape.
What about the challenges? Biotech is famously risky.
Absolutely. There's inevitably a high failure rate, maybe even higher than general tech, given the scientific and regulatory risks inherent in early-stage biotech. Scalability is also a challenge, providing that intense hands-on support and expensive lab infrastructure as demand grows is difficult.
And funding beyond IndieBio.
Biotech is incredibly capital intensive. IndieBio provides crucial seed funding, but their companies typically need to raise substantial follow-on rounds to reach commercialization, which remains a hurdle. And finally, some critics occasionally raise questions about the potential tension between the commercialization pressure inherent in an accelerator model and the timelines needed for rigorous scientific integrity and validation. Finding that balance is key.
It seems incredibly viable, though. With all the critical global challenges we face in health, food security, climate change, how crucial are these highly specialized incubators like IndieBio in actually accelerating the solutions we need? Could this kind of focused model become the standard, maybe even a necessity, for other capital-intensive, science-heavy, niche industries that are essential for humanity's future? It feels like a necessary evolution in how we support breakthrough innovation.
Wow. We've just taken a really deep dive into 10 of the most influential tech incubators and accelerators on the planet. YC, 500 Global, Techstars, Station F, MassChallenge, Plug and Play, EF, StartX, Antler, IndieBio.
Each one is fascinating in its own right.
Absolutely. The diversity of models just within that top 10 is incredible.
But here's the thing, and this is really important. Those 10, as powerful as they are, they're truly just the tip of the iceberg.
That's a crucial point. The
Yep.
ecosystem is vast.
Yeah, our source material, that toptechincubators.pdf, it doesn't just stop at 10. It includes this extensive list of the 100 top tech incubators in the world. And looking through that really drives home the sheer breadth and depth of support available for entrepreneurs globally.
It really does. It paints a picture of a rich, diverse tapestry. We can maybe get a sense of this wider ecosystem by looking at some of the categories and examples from that longer list.
Good idea. What kinds of categories stand out?
Well, first, you see a lot with a strong region-specific focus. These are incubators deeply embedded in their local scene, but often still connecting founders to global networks.
Like who? Any examples?
Sure. Think of Beta in Portugal, really strong in the European market, or Woira, which is Telefónica's program across Europe and Latin America. SeedCamp is huge for UK and European startups. Then you've got Flat 6 Labs, which has multiple offices supporting the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa.
What about other continents?
Definitely. In Africa, there's iHub in Nairobi, Kenya, a real cornerstone there, or MEST in Ghana, training and incubating tech entrepreneurs across the continent. Innovate Durban or the Johannesburg Incubator Hub in South Africa. In Asia, you have the K-Startup Grand Challenge in South Korea, designed to attract global startups, or Accelerating Asia in Singapore, focusing on Southeast Asia, or the Nest.io in Karachi, Pakistan. And in South America, Startup Chile is famous for its government-backed, equity-free grants attracting global talent.
That's incredible geographic diversity right there.
Yeah.
What else stands out from the broader list? Specialization.
Yes, the trend towards industry niche specialization goes way beyond just IndieBio. It's happening across the board to meet very specific sector needs.
Like what?
Well, for artificial intelligence, there's Zeroth.ai based in Hong Kong. For hardware, besides HAX, there's Brink, also in Hong Kong, focusing on IoT, drones, robotics, even food tech, giving access to Chinese manufacturing.
And
Loads. You've got Dreamit Ventures in the U.S. focusing on health tech and ed tech. The CERN Business Incubation Center in Europe leverages physics and engineering tech from CERN itself. The Digital Catapult in the UK pushes advanced digital tech like IoT and AI. HKSTP Incubation in Hong Kong has tracks for biotech, fintech, smart cities.
What about sustainability or deep tech?
Yes, lots there too. Green Tech Amsterdam, the LA Clean Tech Incubator. In the Netherlands, High Tech Excel focuses on deep tech like quantum computing. And yes, Delft is strong in medtech and robotics. Spark Labs Cultivate in Australia is focused on agritech, Cylon Accelerator in London for cybersecurity, RevTech Labs in the US for fintech and surtech, Biosphere Ventures globally for health environment biotech. It shows how tailored the support is becoming.
So regional focus industry niches, what about just really unique models or partnerships that don't fit the standard mold?
We definitely see innovation in the incubator model itself. Founders Factory in London is interesting. They combine startup incubation with helping large corporates innovate internally. We already mentioned SOSV, the parent of IndieBio and HAX, which is this whole global network focused on deep tech. Microsoft Scale Up, now Founders Hub, leverages Azure Access to help startups scale globally. Mind the Bridge, based in Milan, specifically focuses on bridging startups with large corporations, similar to Plug and Play, but with a different approach.
And finally, is that commitment to social impact and diversity we saw in the top 10 reflected in the broader list as well?
Very much so. It's a growing and powerful trend. Impact Hub is a huge global network, over 100 locations, providing co-working and support specifically for startups focused on sustainability and positive social impact.
Any others focused on inclusion?
Yes, French tech Tremplin in Paris supports underrepresented founders. Lunar Startups in Minnesota does too. Ashoka Changemakers is a global network supporting social entrepreneurs tackling systemic problems. And there are many focused on empowering women entrepreneurs, like Astia in San Francisco or Hera Hub, which provides female-focused co-working and incubation globally.
Wow. Okay, stepping back and looking at this huge, diverse landscape,
Yeah.
what does this incredible depth and variety tell you, listening right now, about the future? About how we'll solve problems or drive economic growth?
It really paints a picture where innovation isn't just happening in a few select cities or industries anymore. It's becoming a truly global, multifaceted effort. Support systems are popping up everywhere, tailored to specific needs, specific regions, specific missions.
It feels much more accessible.
Exactly. It suggests a future where a great idea or a talented individual has a much better chance of finding the right support structure wherever they might be in the world. It's an exciting prospect innovation, truly becoming democratized and globalized. Your next big breakthrough could literally come from anywhere by anyone.
Okay, what an incredible journey through this global ecosystem. We've gone from the giants like YC and Techstars to specialized players like IndieBio and the sheer scale of Station F, and now we've seen just how vast the wider landscape is. Let's try to pull it all together now and distill some key takeaways.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Let's start with the commonalities. Despite all the different models, equity, no equity, global, local, specialized, generalist, what are the fundamental things that almost all successful incubators seem to provide? What are the core pillars of startup growth they all deliver?
Right. If you strip it all back, you consistently see three core elements showing up everywhere. First, some form of seed capital, whether it's cash, a convertible note, or even just prize money. Startups need fuel.
Okay, money. What else?
Second, structured mentorship. Access to experienced people, founders, operators, investors who provide guidance, ask tough questions, and share their knowledge. It's rarely just left to chance.
Guidance is key.
And third, invaluable network access. This is huge. Connections to potential follow-on investors, introductions to corporate partners or potential customers, access to an alumni network for peer support, money, mentorship, network. Those seem to be the non-negotiables. The insight is that while capital is table stakes, the human elements, the guidance and connections are often the real accelerators.
That makes sense. But you also mentioned something underlying all that, the focus on people.
Yes, absolutely. Beneath the resources, almost every single program we looked at, explicitly or implicitly, emphasizes human capital. The assessment of the founder's potential, the team's dynamics, their resilience, their coachability. This is consistently a vital selection criterion. Often, it seems even more crucial than the initial business idea itself. They're betting on people.
And the process they put them through.
There's also that pervasive focus across the board on rapid iteration, disciplined execution, and continuous learning. These programs aren't passive. They instill a culture of testing assumptions quickly, learning from failure, pivoting when necessary, and just relentlessly executing. That's baked into the DNA.
Okay, so those are the common threads. Now let's talk about the big contrasts. We saw this clear tension, or maybe just difference, between specialization and generalization.
Right. You have the rise of these hyper-focused, vertical-specific programs. IndieBio for biotech is the prime example, but also Techstars running programs for specific industries or plug-and-play specialized platforms versus the broad, generalist models like Y Combinator was initially, or 500 Global, which might invest across many different sectors within the same cohort. What are the pros and cons here?
Yeah, what are the distinct benefits of each approach? Is one better?
I don't think one is inherently better, they just serve different needs. Specialization offers incredibly tailored resources. If you're in biotech, getting lab access and mentors who understand FDA pathways is invaluable. It provides deep industry connections and knowledge. This is crucial for sectors with high technical complexity or unique regulatory landscapes. It allows for that laser focus needed for deep tech breakthroughs.
Okay, so depth and tailored support. What about the generalists?
Generalization allows for a much broader deal flow. You see a wider range of ideas, potentially spotting innovation in unexpected intersections between fields. It can lead to more diverse insights within a cohort and more cross-pollination of ideas. Think about a fintech startup learning from a consumer app's growth tactics. Generalists cast a wider net.
So breadth versus depth.
Kind of. The insight is that both models are vital for a healthy ecosystem. Specialization drives deep progress in complex fields, while generalization fosters broader exploration and serendipity. They cater to different types of startups and founders.
Another big difference we saw was in the money itself, the evolution of funding models. This really gives founders more choices now.
Absolutely. It's not just one way anymore. We saw the traditional equity-based models, where the incubator invests cash in return for a percentage of the company. Why Combinator, Entrepreneur First, Antler work this way.
And the alternative.
The non-equity or zero-equity models. MassChallenge and StartX are prime examples, taking no ownership stake. And then you have hybrid or flexible approaches like plug and play, offering non-equity platform access, but also making separate equity investments.
So what does this mean for founders? What are the trade-offs?
It means founders have a real strategic choice now. With an equity model, you give up some ownership, but you get a partner whose financial success is directly tied to yours. They're deeply incentivized to help you win big. There's strong alignment.
And with non-equity?
With non-equity, you retain full ownership and control, which is hugely appealing. But the incubator's financial model relies on other things, like sponsorships or donations. Does that subtly change the relationship or the level of long-term commitment? Maybe. The key insight is that founders can now choose a funding model that aligns not just with their capital needs, but also with their values and long-term vision for their company. More options are generally better for entrepreneurs.
Definitely. Now, a really powerful theme running through our entire discussion was the democratization and globalization of entrepreneurship.
Yes, this felt like a major trend.
We saw how incubators like 500 Global, Antler, Techstars, and many others on the longer list are actively expanding far beyond Silicon Valley, setting up shop all over the world. What's the bigger societal impact of that?
It's immense, truly transformative. By actively lowering the barriers, geographic financial network barriers for diverse and underrepresented founders globally, these organizations are fundamentally changing who gets to be an entrepreneur.
Unlocking potential everywhere.
Exactly. They're fostering innovation in regions that might have been overlooked by traditional VC money just a decade ago. This doesn't just create new economic opportunities in those places, it actively weaves this truly global entrepreneurial fabric. It connects talent in, say, Nairobi with mentors in London and investors in Singapore.
So innovation becomes less centralized.
Yes. It means brilliant ideas, wherever they originate, have a much better chance of finding support and reaching the market. This should lead to a richer, more diverse set of solutions to global challenges because they're coming from people with different perspectives and experiences. The insight is simple but profound. True global innovation requires global inclusion.
Okay, but let's not forget the challenges. We need to touch on the persistent challenges and what lies ahead. We heard recurring criticisms throughout our deep dives.
Right, no system is perfect.
Scalability issues came up a lot, maintaining quality while growing fast and globally. Concerns about maintaining consistent quality across dozens of locations, the potential for corporate influence in some models, and just the inherent, unavoidable high failure rates of early-stage ventures. These seem like ongoing struggles.
They absolutely are. These aren't problems that get solved easily. They're constant tensions to be managed.
So how might these persistent challenges actually shape the future of the incubator model itself? Could the problems drive the next solutions?
That's a fascinating way to think about it. It's likely these challenges will drive evolution. We can speculate a bit. Maybe we'll see more sophisticated hybrid models emerge. Programs that try to blend the best of equity and non-equity, or combine deep specialization with access to broader networks.
What about structure?
Perhaps we'll see greater decentralization, more virtual programs, or highly distributed models that rely less on physical campuses, further reducing geographic barriers and maybe lowering operational costs. COVID certainly accelerated trends in remote work and collaboration.
And how we measure success.
That's a big one. We'll likely see the development and adoption of new, more holistic metrics for success, moving beyond just how much funding did your startups raise, to include things like demonstrable social or environmental impact, long-term company sustainability, diversity metrics, quality job creation, a broader definition of value.
So the ecosystem itself is constantly learning and adapting.
Exactly. These challenges aren't just roadblocks. They're evolutionary pressures pushing the incubator model itself to become more effective, more inclusive, and ultimately more impactful in launching the companies that will shape our future. It's an ongoing experiment.
Wow. Okay. We have covered an incredible amount of ground today. We've navigated this really complex, dynamic, and frankly super impactful world of tech incubators and accelerators.
It's been quite the journey. From Y Combinator's pioneering batch model.
To 500 global championing diversity worldwide, the unbelievable scale of Station F in Paris, MassChallenge's radical zero equity approach.
And then the talent-first models of Entrepreneur First and Antler, the deep university ties of StartX, the biotech focus of IndieBio.
We've seen just how varied these organizations are, but also how they all provide that vital launch pad for innovation, turning raw ideas and talented people into companies that genuinely change the world.
Hopefully you listening now have a much deeper, more nuanced understanding of these engines driving global innovation. You see how different models work, how they cater to different types of entrepreneurs and different stages of the journey.
Maybe this deep dive has even sparked an idea of your own, or at least give you some new insights into how the companies you interact with every day actually got started, and the ecosystems that support them.
It demystifies it a bit, hopefully.
Definitely. So let's end with a final thought for you to mull over. As technology keeps accelerating at this breakneck pace, and global challenges, climate, health, inequality become more and more intense, consider this.
What kind of support system will the next generation of innovators need? Maybe something truly unique, perhaps combining the best elements of all these diverse models we've discussed today. What will it take to tackle those really huge, maybe even existential problems facing humanity?
And maybe think about how you might contribute to that evolving ecosystem. Even if you never found a startup yourself, how can you support innovation? Maybe through mentorship or investment, or just by being an informed citizen.
Because the seeds of tomorrow's biggest breakthroughs, the solutions we desperately need, are being planted right now, often in these very kinds of environments. They're just waiting for the right conditions, the right support to grow.